What's going on, everybody? Well, 2016 is at its end. If you have not already checked out my worst of 2016 and my most disappointing movies of 2016, go and check those out before you check out this video. If you have seen those, now we're here. Now we're at the time when I can talk about the good movies of 2016. And you know what? 2016 has got a kind of a bad reputation so far of being like this huge disappointment of movies. And you know, I'm trying to make this list, and it was so difficult that it kind of surprised me. We had some damn good movies in 2016, but 2016 was not the year of the blockbuster. That's what's gotten everybody disappointed. 2016 was the year of the underdogs. A lot of my favorite movies of the year are these smaller movies, these movies that I either didn't know about or didn't expect much from, and a lot of the big blockbusters like Batman v Superman and Jason Bourne and those kinds of movies ended up being my more disappointing movies of the year. So I have 10 honorable mentions. I'm not going to go into depth with them. I'm just going to run them down because, like I said, this was a really difficult list to make, and these movies at least deserve to have their name out there because they were very, very good movies this year. Just didn't quite make my top 10, and there was a lot of shuffling going around before I kind of came to my top 10 that I'm comfortable with now. So, in no particular order, Lights Out, The Conjuring 2, and Hush were three great horror movies. If you have not seen Hush, especially, that's a Netflix movie. It was a great breath of fresh air. 10 Cloverfield Lane was a huge surprise. The movie came out of nowhere. They released the trailer. They released the movie within a couple weeks of each other. John Goodman was phenomenal in that. Kung Fu Panda 3. A lot of people forgetting about that movie. It was a great third chapter for Kung Fu Panda. One of my favorite animated series of all time. The Magnificent Seven. One of the best, if not the best, action movie to come out this year. Great modern western. Green Room. A little horror movie. I think I saw it in a theater of 3 people. Absolutely love that movie. The Jungle Book. Really hard that I had to take that off the top 10. That was a great movie experience for new fans of the Jungle Book and old school fans. It was just so much fun seeing that movie with my kids. Bad Moms, probably one of the best comedies of the year and one of the best surprises of the year. I didn't expect anything from it, and I was laughing damn near the whole movie. And a really, really, really underappreciated movie, Eddie the Eagle. If you have just like a movie that's just fun to watch and just enjoyable and you will be smiling the whole time, just one of those comfortable movies that you can put on and just be happy for 90 minutes, Eddie the Eagle was the best one this year. Not a lot of people giving it credit it deserves. It's a very, very good, fun movie. Check out Eddie the Eagle. Now that we got those out of the way, starting off at number 10 for my best movies of 2016 is a movie that I'm surprised I'm putting on here because I'm usually not much of an animation guy, but Zootopia was the shit. Zootopia was great. This was one of those few animated movies that had that perfect mix between having comedy and things on screen that appeal to kids and having comedy and things that adults can appreciate. Jason Bateman did a great job playing the fox in this movie. The storyline had a lot of social commentary in it, but it didn't beat you over the head with it. They did it really good and really subtle. I loved this movie start to finish. I was laughing just as much as my kids. I couldn't wait to buy it on Blu-ray. If you haven't seen it, it's the best animated movie that I saw this year. Zootopia is amazing. That's my number 10. Number 9 is a movie that, again, just kind of came out of nowhere. The Edge of 17. What a great throwback to 80s comedies, like a coming-of-age story. If this had come out in the 80s, you would see a John Hughes film on top of it. It had great humor. It was very relatable. The performances in it were really good, especially Woody Harrelson. It tackled a lot of things that all of us can relate to, things that we went through as a teenager, things that we remember other people going through as a teenager. Just a phenomenal comedy. Probably the funniest movie that I saw all year because it was so relatable and so real. You know, you have that thing in comedies where you either have really real characters or you have really cartoonish characters, and everything in this movie was very real and very down to earth. I love this. Haley Steinfeld, I'm going to keep my eye on that girl because she did great in this. If you have not seen The Edge of 17, because it kind of floated under a lot of people's radars, definitely check that out. That's my number 9. Number 8, another movie that just flew under everybody's radar, Bloodfather. What a return to form for Mel Gibson. This is basically a story where he has this estranged daughter who's getting chased by this Mexican cartel. She comes to him for help. He's an ex-alcoholic. He's, like I said, estranged, so he doesn't really have much to do with his daughter. And it's about them being on the road trying to escape this Mexican cartel. It was kind of billed as an action movie, and even though there are some good action scenes in this, it's much more of a dark drama with some action scenes in it. One of the best performances of the year by Mel Gibson that is really going to go unappreciated. And it's criminal how much it's unappreciated because he is damn good in this. He's as good as he's ever been. The action scenes, like I said, the comedy in it too is really good. There's a good scene whenever he's first getting shot at and he's listing off all the things that his parole officer is about to nab him for because he's fighting back. Such a damn good movie. A lot of people didn't go see it, so if you have not seen it, absolutely check out Bloodfather. One of the best experiences I've had at home. I didn't get to see it in theaters, but it was a great movie to watch at home. Bloodfather's number 8. Number 7 is Captain America Civil War. What a kick-ass movie. If it was just purely an action movie, that was the best action movie that I saw all year. That airport sequence is one of the best action scenes that we're going to see in our lifetimes. It did such a good job at being a complete focused Captain America movie while juggling most of the Avengers in the background. You know, Tony Stark was very, very prominent in this movie, but he didn't steal the show from Captain America. It stayed a Captain America movie, and that was my main worry going into this. Is this going to feel like Avengers or Captain America? Basically told the story, I mean, everybody's seen Civil War, where you have a battle of wills against Captain America and Tony Stark about this Sokovia Accords. Should superheroes be governed by the government, or should they be free to do whatever they want? And it was a very believable conflict. It wasn't as earth-shatteringly dark as it should have gotten in some spots, but that's kind of the Marvel formula. You know, I feel like there should have been 1 or 2 deaths in the movie. That was really my main criticism of it. But for the most part, this movie fired on all cylinders. It succeeded above and beyond my expectations. Some of the best action scenes, really good acting, and I actually liked the villain that a lot of people gave a lot of flack to, Zemo. I thought he was a pretty good little breath of fresh air for a villain. So Captain America Civil War was a great comic book movie. That was a great action movie, and that's my number 7 best movie of 2016. Number 6, one of the most criminally unwashed movies of 2016 is The Nice Guys. I am a Shane Black fanatic. I love all of his movies. I love his writing. I love his directing. And this is probably one of his best movies, if not his best movie. A lot of people say Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. That and The Nice Guys is going to be like this. This basically is a throwback to like 70s film noir. You've got Ryan Gosling and you've got Russell Crowe, who are trying to investigate this missing girl's murder, basically. And it is such a damn good movie. The comedy is just so sharp. The writing is so good. They play off of each other so well. Like Ryan Gosling, you don't see him as a comedic actor. He gave one of the best comedic performances I've seen in a long time. And just such a breath of fresh air. And it's a shame that nobody went to see this movie. This is one of the movies that I throw out there whenever people say, we don't get any original ideas anymore. We just get sequels and reboots and remakes. Well, guess what? When you get original movies like The Nice Guys, nobody goes to fucking see it. That's why I hate that argument. If you want more original movies, guys, go support the original movies. Don't save your money for Captain America. Go check out the other smaller movies out there so we get more of them, because The Nice Guys should have had a sequel. They were talking about already writing a sequel, but the movie bombed, so we're never going to see it. One of the best movies of the year, The Nice Guys, is number 6. Number 5 is a movie that I honestly did not expect to like anywhere near as much as I liked it, and that is Deepwater Horizon. This is directed by Peter Berg, starring Mark Wahlberg and Kurt Russell, telling the story of the BP oil spill that happened a few years ago. It's still, to date, the worst oil spill environmental disaster on record. This movie grabbed you by the throat and did not let go until that credits roll, because the beginning of this movie, you're kind of slowly getting to know your characters. Mark Wahlberg is great as always. You get to know Kurt Russell, who's one of my favorite actors ever. He's great in this. And then once the things start happening that start to lead up to this BP drilling station going down, it's just like the most tense experience I've had in the theater this year. Like, I was just sitting there and you could almost feel my heart pumping. You knew the things that were about to happen. You see the bad decisions, the bad decision making by BP going into effect, and when everything starts blowing up and going around, I mean, this movie, like I said, just grabs you by the throat. Like, I was glued to the screen. I was barely breathing in scenes of it. It was so damn good how Peter Berg directed this movie, and supposedly Patriots Day is even better, but unfortunately I won't be able to see that until it comes to wide release in January. But Deepwater Horizon, just one of the biggest surprises of the year, because I'm a Peter Berg fan, but I did not expect that level of quality movie out of him. I like him, but I did not love a lot of his movies like a lot of people have. Deepwater Horizon, to me, bar none, is his best movie. It was one of my best movies of the year. Obviously, number 5, Deepwater Horizon. Number 4 is my personal favorite horror movie of the year, Don't Breathe. I heard so much early buzz about this movie that I literally avoided all trailers. There was even times when I was in the movie theater and the trailer would start and I would leave and go to the bathroom and come back, because I did not want to know anything about this movie when I walked in. And that is the best way to see this movie, because it took you on such a ride that it was one of the best horror movie experiences I've ever had. I know this movie it's a love or hate movie with the twist. I've seen a lot of people whose opinions I respect that hate this movie. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. And it was one of those things where I walk in and just the story direction that it took and how tense and how freaky this movie got, just knocked me on my ass, because being a horror fan, movies like this are very few and far between. We get movies like my list where I was talking about Incarnate and 31. We get those all year round. We don't get too many Don't Breathes. And just the way that the blind man was just such a sinister villain that kind of came out of nowhere, because he's the victim at first, because he's the victim of a home invasion, and the way that it just kind of gets flipped on its head, where you didn't expect this guy to be able to defend himself, and then you realize how much he can defend himself. And just the way this movie was directed, the way that the scenes were shot, the cinematography, like scenes where you're in a hallway and he's walking, and all of a sudden the blind man's just walking at you, and the guy's like, oh, and he just moves to the side, and you're like, holy crap. And you're like, in the theater, in the seat, you're like, you're not breathing, like almost like the guy's gonna come get you, like you don't want him to hear you. So Fede Alvarez cemented himself as one of the best horror directors today with this movie. To me, it was my favorite horror movie of the year, and my 4th favorite movie of 2016. Number 3, which is a movie that I saw late in the summer season because it was hard to find a screening for it in my area. And until I saw this movie, Don't Breathe was my favorite movie of the summer, until I saw Hell or High Water. Hell or High Water is one of those movies that if you were just a fan of movies, you have to see. It's a modern day Western. It stars Chris Pine and Ben Foster as some brothers. They're going around, they're robbing these little small town banks in Texas. And then you've got Jeff Bridges and his partner, who are basically these Texas Rangers trying to take them down. And it's just such a small, well-made movie that they did everything right in this. The performances were great. Ben Foster I'm going to be surprised if he doesn't get a Best Supporting Actor nomination. Jeff Bridges was as great as he's always been. Chris Pine delivered one of the big surprise performances of the year, because he's always kind of known as the fun, jokey guy, Captain Kirk. And he played it dead serious in this, and he was good. The humor was really sharp in this. I was laughing the whole movie. The drama was there. Just Hell or High Water was such a damn good movie that it was the biggest surprise of the year for me, because I had heard nothing about this movie, and then all of a sudden there's this little movie Hell or High Water out there that everybody's talking about. So I go to see it, and I see why everybody's talking about it. Phenomenal movie. Go check that out. Hell or High Water, number 3. Number 2 is Hacksaw Ridge. What a phenomenal war movie. I'm not a huge war movie fan. This might be my favorite war movie of all time. Just one of the most heroic stories that I've ever seen. I didn't get a chance to do a review on this, but this came out at the time when everybody was really at each other's throats with the 2016 election, and everybody's talking about how there's just so much hate in the world, and America's tearing itself apart. If you watch this movie, this just kind of reminds you of why America is so great. You get this American hero like Desmond Doss, who is just so unselfless, so selfless whenever he goes in to just save people. It's basically the story. He goes in, he's trying to join the army because he wants to do his part, but he, due to religious reasons, will not touch a weapon. He goes through the first half of this movie is basically him trying to convince his commanding officers to let him fight in the war with no weapon. He's a medic. And the second half is him in the war. And this movie just totally, it's so captivating the first half because you're watching this guy, this battle of wills, and just sticking true to his beliefs. And it's not overly, heavy-handed with the religious things. It's just a guy focusing on his beliefs. And then as soon as the first shot is fired in the war scene, as soon as the first guy gets his head blown off, you're like, holy crap, this movie just went, and it just goes start to finish. Is just one of the craziest, most gritty, brutal war scenes that you've ever seen. And just seeing this guy, and it's all a true story, continuously go back, running at bullets, running at smoke, running at explosions to save people, was just one of the best American stories that I've seen. It was directed phenomenally by Mel Gibson. If this movie does not get nominations because of the whole controversy surrounding Mel Gibson, which honestly should have run its course by now, I'm going to be kind of pissed because, obviously I'm not somebody who's going to be personally offended by Mel Gibson. I'm not Jewish, so I understand that side of things, but just the way that this guy has just been hung out to dry by Hollywood. He's been through hell trying to get back to his spot in Hollywood, and he's quietly starting to come back. He came back with Expendables 3, then he came back with Bloodfather, and now he's coming back to the director's chair with this. If this movie does not earn him some spot back in Hollywood, I'm going to be really upset because that stuff needs to be left behind. There's so much more stuff going on behind the scenes, that whole controversy that I'm not even going to get into, that a lot of people don't even talk about. They just focus on the media thing, and Mel Gibson's a racist, and it's just ridiculous. So Hacksaw Ridge is not only the best directed movie that I've seen all year, I think it's Mel Gibson's best movie. I think it's my favorite war movie of all time, and it was absolutely my second favorite movie I mean, it would have been my first favorite if not for the things I'm getting ready to get into with my number one favorite. But just one of the best movies that I've seen in years. Phenomenal. Hacksaw Ridge is number 2. Now number 1. My best movie of 2016 is probably going to surprise some people. Some people are not going to be surprised at all. And this is going purely on enjoyment factor. If I look back and I'm trying to think of what my favorite movie experience of 2016 is, I'm trying to think, what movie did I enjoy the most? What movie was I having the most fun with? What movie did I reference constantly? What movie did I want to rewatch the most? What movie was I talking about the most after I saw it, even months later? And there is one answer that is absolutely, has to be my number 1 favorite movie of the year. Otherwise, I'm a liar. Deadpool, baby. Deadpool was the best movie of 2016 to me. This movie had every reason to fall on its face and fail. And it blew everybody's minds with how successful it was in every aspect. Not only did it have one of the most fun and best marketing campaigns to any movie ever, that it was so fun leading up to that movie. Seeing all the commercials and all the little cameos that he made and all the little press events that Deadpool did. But from the time this movie starts, whenever you see that opening credits sequence, whenever it's all slow motion and it shows like starring an overpaid tool and directed by some dickwad and starring a CGI character, you knew what you were in for with this movie. And from the time this movie started to the time that post-credit scene aired at the end, I was just laughing, I was smiling, I was having fun. The action scenes were great. The humor was firing on all cylinders the whole movie. I don't think there was a single joke in this movie that did not land. Just the way that they brought Deadpool to the screen, especially after this 10-year journey they had making this movie, they could not have made a better Deadpool movie. There's always movies out there you say, well, even though it was phenomenal, they could have changed this or this and could have done it better. I don't think they could have done Deadpool any better than they did. It was my favorite comic book movie of 2016. It was my favorite comedy of 2016. It was my favorite character of 2016. And it is my favorite movie of 2016. I know that there's, Hacksaw Ridge and Deadpool is 2 completely different movies, but just like I said, going purely off of enjoyment factor, movie that I cannot stop talking about, stop referencing, the movie that I celebrate the most of 2016, absolutely, is Deadpool. That is my number 1 favorite movie of 2016. So what do you guys think of my list of best movies of 2016? Put your own list down below. You can put what movies on here you think should be removed. Let's debate about it. I'm cool with all that. I love talking with you guys about stuff like this. So put all that in the comment section below and we'll talk about it. Please like and share this video and hit that subscribe button. That way you get to come back and see me next time. And look forward to checking out my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2017 coming very soon. So hit that subscribe button, come back and check that out. Or if you want to check out some of my other videos right now, you can check out a few more by clicking right over here.